Hey everyone, we got some great news coming out of CrowdStrike's investor relations presentation in late September. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the 4 most important slides that came out of that presentation that were, in my opinion, great news for CrowdStrike stock investors. So let's get right into it, starting with CrowdStrike's forecast for the next 5 to 7 years in relation to its annual recurring revenue. So right now, CrowdStrike generated 2.9 billion in annual recurring revenue at the end of the second quarter of its fiscal 2024. The company expects that to grow to 10 billion annual recurring revenue in 5 to 7 years, so more than triple the rate of annual recurring revenue the company will achieve. Now, how does it expect to get there? Well, it's going to offer more products, right? And it will address more solutions in terms of cybersecurity a company's resources. It's going to expand to more geographies. Right now, a great majority of the company's revenue comes from the United States. So it's going to expand, it's going to generate more revenue from more parts of the world. It's going to expand into new products, and it's going to add new partners. Right now, the company doesn't have as many partners, as many logos, as they like to call it, as many companies as maybe some of the leaders, including like a Fortinet, who's got multiples more logos than CrowdStrike does. So if the company does achieve this target, it will be excellent for CrowdStrike investors, to be sure. The next slide here talks about what I've been saying in my videos very often, and that is the expanding market opportunity. So right now, for the current year 2024 or the upcoming year 2024, CrowdStrike's projected total addressable market is $100 billion. The AI native security platform, right? That's where the total amount spent on products and services that are similar to CrowdStrike's, in an area where CrowdStrike feels if it was to capture every customer, it would generate 100 billion in revenue. That being said, the company thinks this market, or its opportunity, its total addressable market opportunity in the year 2028 will jump to 225 billion. So the total market will increase. And I've been saying that with cybersecurity, there needs to be more and more spending. This is going to be a growth industry for several years. And according to CrowdStrike, it's going to more than double over the next 4 or 5 years. So an expanding market is great news for all of the industry participants, CrowdStrike included, because there's a bigger piece of the pie that they can all share. And so that's great news for CrowdStrike and CrowdStrike stock investors. So the next slide that I wanted to highlight is CrowdStrike's targets for major financial metrics. And what we have here is the subscription gross margin, sales and marketing, research and development, general and admin, operating margin, and free cash flow percent. So what you would like to see from CrowdStrike is a higher subscription gross margin, a higher operating margin, a higher free cash flow margin, and lower margin and lower percentages here for their spending categories. And CrowdStrike said that it's hit these targets that it set out already. It said that it hit these targets: a free cash flow margin of 30 to 32%, operating margin of 20 to 22% plus. Now, if you're looking at the actual numbers and you're saying, wait a minute, they don't match, that's okay. These are non-GAAP measures. That means the company has adjusted these figures and excluded some costs. Okay, so that's to be understood. So they've already hit these targets, so that's great news. But what is even better news is now the company feels that it can hit even higher targets. So let's look at the next slide. Here's the new target model. And you could see these are substantially higher from the previous target. The company now expects it can achieve a subscription gross profit margin of 82 to 85%. That's 400 basis points higher. And it thinks it can achieve this while spending less on sales and marketing, 200 basis points less. Research and development, it's not changing. It's keeping that up to 15 to 20%. It's going to spend less on general and administrative expenses, 200 basis points less. And I like to see this, and I like to see companies capitalize on the remote working opportunity. There's a lot of opportunity to reduce employee costs by allowing employees to work remotely. And so that's one area I think the company can capitalize on improving its general and admin expense. And then here's two major positives going forward. The company now believes that it can achieve an operating profit margin of 28 to 32%. That's 900 basis points higher than before. 900 basis points higher than before. That's an excellent increase. An operating profit margin of 28 to 32% would be solid to be sure, although this is a non-GAAP measure. If they can achieve this on a GAAP basis, that would be even better. Free cash flow margin, they now think they can do 34% to 38%. That's 500 basis points better than expected. So across the board, the company expects its equilibrium rate or its long-term targets can be better than it initially thought. And that's great news for CrowdStrike stock investors because that just means the potential for profitability and everything else is much higher than it initially thought, right? Many times you'll see companies come out in their investor relations and say, you know what, we thought we could do all these excellent and great things, but it turns out we were too ambitious and we need to lower our targets, right? And that's a really saddening experience that usually causes a company's stock price to fall significantly after the management team makes an announcement like that. But CrowdStrike is doing the opposite. It's coming out and saying, look, the targets we set out, we hit those targets sooner than we thought. And actually, we think we can do much better than that, way better than that. And so we're setting out these new targets that we think are certainly achievable. So definitely great news coming out of CrowdStrike and great news for CrowdStrike stock investors.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.